History will be made this Friday night as the first ever 12-team playoff officially gets underway. And the first ever game of this playoff may be my favorite game of the opening round. We've got number 10 Indiana, this year's Cinderella team in college football, taking on number 7 Notre Dame in South Bend. An in-state battle between two 11-1 teams. It does not get any better than this. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. Ready to start breaking down the college football playoff. This is what we've been working for since the beginning of the season. Who was going to be in? We are finally here, and all this week we'll be breaking down each first round game of the 12-team college football playoff. But as always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. That, of course, includes our expert picks, home of all of our bowl game spread picks, home of some of the best spread picks in the entire country. We've beat out over 80% of the national handicappers each of the last 6 years, and we have never gone under 60% in our postseason picks. So sign up now. Join that holiday special. Take advantage of all of our bowl game picks, our NFL playoff picks, these college football playoff picks. Do not miss out on that. Link for it down in the description below. So let's dive into this. Again, how awesome is this? I mean, really, the 12-team playoff alone, I think, is fantastic. But our first round game gives us an in-state battle. Indiana and Notre Dame not really playing each other very often historically, and now we get to see them, two teams within the state at 11-1, fighting for a spot to go on to the next round and take on Georgia. The winner of this going to take on the 2 seed in the Georgia Bulldogs. We start with the offense, and we'll start with Indiana, who's the road team in this game. Look, the one word I like to describe the Hoosiers' offense is efficient. They are very, very efficient. Major props to Curt Cignetti, the coach of the year in college football, for doing what he did in only his first year in Bloomington. They're averaging over 43 points per game, 25th overall in the nation, averaging over 438 yards per game. 265 of those are through the air, 173.6 of those are on the ground. So relatively balanced, very efficient, but they've got to complement each other. They've got to find a way to maintain that balance. That's the biggest thing for the Hoosiers. Curtis Rourke has been phenomenal at quarterback this season, over 2,800 yards, 27 touchdowns, just 4 interceptions, taking great care of the football. Elijah Surratt has been his top target all year long, over 890 reception yards and 8 touchdowns on the year. They're a very underrated duo in the world of college football, but again, they've got to find a way to maintain balance and not be one-dimensional in this game in what's going to be a very cold, tough environment against Notre Dame. And obviously a Notre Dame defense that is really, really good. We'll talk about that Notre Dame defense in a second, but I want to point out something. As great as Indiana's offense has been all year long, we know their schedule has not been all that great. We know they haven't played the best teams in the country all year. They absolutely deserve to be in the playoff. I will not deny that. But you look at the 2 toughest defenses that Indiana's played all year. Who were they? They were Michigan and Ohio State. Well, against Michigan, they only won that game by 5 points, 20-15. They only mustered 246 yards of total offense and only 40 rushing yards. So one of the closest games of the year for them, they had no balance, only 40 rushing yards. Their lone loss of the season was on the road against Ohio State. They lost 38-15. They were held to 151 yards of total offense and only 68 passing yards. Once again, no offense, no balance, and a bad loss. So, not bad loss to a bad team, but a bad loss in terms of the margin. So, this is a concern for Indiana. The 2 toughest defenses they faced, the offense has struggled mightily. Will that be the case again against one of the best defenses in the country, Notre Dame? We'll talk about that again shortly. You look at the Fighting Irish, though, their offense. To me, it's nothing crazy special, but they are getting the job done. Over 39 points per game, that's pretty dang good. Over 421 yards per game, not too bad. But they're only 101st in the nation in passing. They brought in Riley Leonard and a handful of transfer wide receivers and pass catchers to hope to keep up a pretty electric passing attack. That wasn't the case. They're only mustering 196 passing yards per game, but that's okay because the run game's been fantastic. The run game has been phenomenal. The Fighting Irish ranked 10th in the nation in running the football, averaging nearly 225 rushing yards per game. You've got Jeremiah Love with over 940 rushing yards. He's rushed for at least 99 yards in 4 of his last 5 games. Their quarterback, Riley Leonard, has been phenomenal on the ground. Over 700 rushing yards at the quarterback position with 14 rushing touchdowns. And then you also have Jadarian Price, who has over 650 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns. So you've got 3 players for Notre Dame that have rushed for at least 650 yards on the year. 650 yards in the year. You got 3 players that have done that. This isn't Army. This isn't Navy. This is Notre Dame, who destroyed Army and Navy when they faced off earlier this year. So for Notre Dame, obviously the key for them is they've got to establish a run. They've got to be able to keep it up, right? You don't want to see this become a game where Riley Leonard has to win the game solely through the air. I think he could be capable of doing that. He's a veteran quarterback. He's a good passer. He's an accurate passer. He takes pretty good care of the football. But Notre Dame, they want to run the football. They want to make sure Leonard remains a dual threat in this game. If you take that aspect away and force him to win the game through the air, that plays very well into Indiana's hand. And the thing is, Indiana could find a way to do that because the Hoosiers, they have the number 1 rushing defense in the country. They have the best rushing defense in the nation. And that's where this battle is going to be made, right? It's going to be a battle that is decided in a game that's decided in the trenches. It's going to be a game that's Notre Dame's rushing offense versus Indiana's rushing defense. Whoever wins that battle wins this game. The Hoosiers give up just 70.8 rushing yards per game. The most rushing yards they've given up in a single game this season was 139 rushing yards to Charlotte. If Indiana in South Bend holds Notre Dame to under 140 yards on the ground, I think they win this game. If they can hold Notre Dame to under 140 rushing yards, I think they win this game. A few other keys for Indiana here. Number 1, create pressure in negative plays, right? The Hoosiers actually have a pretty solid pass rush, 33 sacks on the season. Finding a way to create pressure on Riley Leonard when he does drop back. Finding a way to stuff the run. Finding a way to get Notre Dame behind the chains, maybe force them to throw. 2nd and long, 3rd and long. You're going to probably have to throw if you want to pick those up. That's going to be huge for Curt Cignetti's squad in this game. Number 2, obviously turnovers. Indiana's done a good job at forcing turnovers. They forced 23 on the year. 23 forced turnovers, but it's going to be very hard to win a game on the road in this environment, in a game of this magnitude, if you can't win the turnover battle. So it kind of, goes both ways. You've got to win the turnover battle. You've got to force them defensively, but your offense can't turn it over either. And then number 3, 3rd down conversion rate. Indiana's been pretty phenomenal on 3rd down defense. Their opponents are converting just 31% of the time on 3rd down. So if they can keep that up, if they can get Notre Dame off the field, it provides more opportunities for your offense if you're Indiana. And you're going to need every opportunity you have in this game to try to put points on the board in South Bend. Overall, Indiana, the 2nd-ranked defense in the entire nation. But, go with that as you will. This is a good defense. There's no doubt about that. But their schedule has not been all that great. They beat up on a lot of weaker opponents within the Big Ten with a weak non-conference schedule. So the stats are there. They've got great stats. But again, they haven't played that many elite opponents that could alter that. Notre Dame, by all means, is a legit and elite opponent. Notre Dame, defensively, we talked about it earlier. We alluded to it earlier. Indiana's offense. They struggled against Michigan. They struggled against Ohio State. Those were the 2 defenses, the best defense they faced all year long. Notre Dame might be the best out of all of them. You could argue Ohio State was, but regardless, Notre Dame's defense is legit. The 9th-ranked defense in the nation, giving up just 296 yards per game. They're 3rd in the country in stopping the pass, allowing just 158 passing yards per game. We saw their defense come through clutch in their season finale against USC with 2 massive and long pick sixes to seal the game against the Trojans. They have forced 17 interceptions on the year. They have forced 28 total turnovers on the year. So like Indiana, they are no stranger to forcing turnovers and creating more opportunities for their offense. Notre Dame also only allows their opponents to convert on 3rd down 30.4% of the time. This Fighting Irish team, guys, is kind of a bend but don't break defense, right? It's a team that, you look at the USC game. That was maybe an anomaly. Allowed a lot of points to the Trojans with a close game into the 4th quarter. But their defense was bending at the end of the game. USC driving to try to tie the game, driving to try to cut into the lead late. And again, 2 pick sixes all the way the length of the field. Notre Dame is allowing just 13.6 points per game. They have held 9 of their 12 opponents this year to 14 points or less. 9 of the 12 opponents have been held to 14 points or less. This is an elite defense, and defense can win championships, and that is what Notre Dame is going to rely on, is their defense and their run game, not just to beat Indiana, but for them to hopefully make a run in the college football playoff. So what is going to happen? Again, to me, this is my favorite opening round matchup. The other ones are going to be great, and we're going to break those down in deep detail over the next few days, but this is the game I'm actually looking forward to the most in the opening round of the 12-team playoff. And I think it's going to be fun. A very cold Friday night game, in-state game. Should be an electric crowd. I think we're going to see a great crowd from Indiana. Obviously, he's going to see a great crowd from Notre Dame fans. But bottom line, it's hard to win in South Bend. I know, well, Northern Illinois did it. Yeah, they did. Look, I mean, it was crazy. But since then, Notre Dame's been playing fantastic football. 10 straight victories since that loss. Weird anomaly, weird, crazy, not fluke by any means, but loss at home to Northern Illinois. They've won 10 straight games. Their defense has been phenomenal. Their ground game has been phenomenal. And I do worry about Indiana in this type of environment against this kind of defense. Will they be able to play like they have all year long? Will they be able to put enough points on the board to beat Notre Dame? Again, this defense is the real deal. Yes, they have the number one rushing defense in the country, but they are facing maybe one of the best, if not the best, rushing attack they've seen all year in Notre Dame. It's going to be very different than what Indiana's seen for the majority of this season, with the exception of Michigan and Ohio State. So I like Notre Dame a lot in this game. I just don't see Marcus Freeman and the Fighting Irish. We always talk about them losing the big games, unable to win the big games. That doesn't happen this week. Maybe it happens against Georgia. Maybe so, but they're winning this game. Notre Dame takes care of business at home. They advance to the next round. Indiana's magical Cinderella run comes to an end, but that should not take away from what a phenomenal job Curt Cignetti has done in 1 year, taking a struggling Indiana program all the way to the college football playoff, but their journey falls just short in South Bend. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. That includes those expert picks over on thegridironexpert.com. That includes all of our exclusive content for you, not just for the rest of this bowl season, but all year long, even in the off season. So go check it out. The link for that down in the description below. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.